You've probably seen trends over the last few years with all the things that have been going on in the world, leading to a more distributed lifestyle for a lot of people. We've seen employers, for example, adopt remote workforces first out of necessity and then out of choice, which has had ripple effects throughout the globe. And people have realized, hey, maybe I don't have to do that commute at 5 a.m. in the rain. Maybe it's not that essential anymore. Millions of people have even explored new countries and continents as part of this transition. We've all seen the selfies on Instagram from influencers hopping from place to place, glorifying the idea of working and traveling the world. So today I'll be discussing digital nomads and if it's right for you and how you can see through the hype if you're considering taking the plunge, as well as my own experiences and how I nearly gave up on my dream to do it.
Check it out.
Hey, what's up? I'm Ollie FS. Okay, so right off the bat, I am a product designer who in the last year alone has stayed in the UK, Malta, Italy, and Cyprus. And I want to continue this trend in the future across countries and continents myself. But I want to start off by saying this. Being a digital nomad is overhyped. If your idea of it is a reality that it's idolized through unattainable, unrealistic, and even outright untruthful images. We've seen them from influencers supposedly documenting a day in their life, for example. If that is your idea of what a digital nomad is, then this is not the right video for you. It couldn't be any further from the truth. What you don't see are the countless hours spent constructing, traveling, and even outright photoshopping these images. I'm not saying that everybody's like this, because some people are paid to travel through advertisements, sponsorship deals, even convincing you, the viewer, that this is the reality that they live in. In many cases, they themselves are the brand and are likely selling you the product, which is to covet or crave their lifestyles. I mean, it looks easy, right? Who wouldn't want to sit under a waterfall or at the beach with a drink in their hand? So we'll get into the question of whether it's right for you, as well as my experience being a digital nomad and how I nearly gave up on it. But first, let's start with the hype and all the things that can make this lifestyle appear better than it is. All right, so you've finally decided to ignore all responsibility, put your life in danger by quitting your stable income job, cut off family and friends so that you can show up to that beach on a different continent. I'm kidding, but I know all of these thoughts will have run through your mind in one form or another at some point. Let's be real. You probably don't have too many responsibilities that keep you in one place at the moment. You likely still have to deliver to a high level at your job, which you can keep because it allows for remote working. Your family situation won't be affected too drastically. And yeah, you do want to show up to that beach on a different continent. But things like comfort matter. So when you're sitting in a coffee shop all day, crouched over maybe an uncomfortable desk, and the ambience isn't that great where you are, it can get pretty annoying. But it makes for a good Instagram photo. When it comes to comfort as a digital nomad, the title pretty much infers the removal of routine. So no more commuting to work on one hand, and monotony will become a thing of the past as you travel new lands and explore the unknown. But there's two very big downsides for some people. So although comfort can be a killer, you also have the other extreme where you'll have to rely on very little security whatsoever. This is by, of course, not having a place to return back to. So you'll always be looking for places to stay on Airbnb or hotels, hostels, through mostly poorly translated websites. For me personally, this is never fun. And on short notice, the expenses can rack up. I do, however, love sitting from a cafe because I think the change of environment is a great way to stimulate creativity. You've got nice aesthetics, a nice ambience to the whole place. So if you do decide to go down this route, just try and do a little bit of research beforehand so that you can prep yourself for what you'll be getting yourself into. And remember, it doesn't have to be a zero-sum game. You can enjoy these things in doses and tailor them to your liking. You'll figure it out. If you're interested in the idea of living wherever you want and be able to hop from place to place to inject that sense of adventure in your life, then you're on the right path. When I first decided to become a digital nomad, it had come from a thirst for adventure and a disliking to the monotonous lifestyle that I began to develop. What is adventure though? And why do the emotions surrounding it so strongly influence our decision making? Well, in part because of what I mentioned earlier about idolizing a certain way of life that gives us the impression that we're somehow missing out or that easier is somehow better. But also travel can give us that liberation and sense of accomplishment from the dopamine hits that we get from sounds and smells and new tastes. Also things like learning a new language can reinforce our connection with people that maybe we felt lost in our mother tongue. But with that comes barriers that you might not have foreseen. Daily tasks, for example, that might have been an afterthought once are now centered at the forefront of your mind. Some of them might have even become a burden, like when you're going to the shop, for example, and you need to buy food, and maybe you can't read the labels. You might also struggle with currency conversion, and when you go to the till, for example, you've forgotten how to ask for a bag. But this is also what makes these experiences so fun and educational. And I can assure you, once this happens, you'll be prepared for the next time and never leave bagless again. Your day-to-day is going to change drastically, even with the routine of working a full-time job. Chances are you're going to have to meet lots of new people, and this certainly doesn't happen overnight. Some of it will just be out of necessity, from things like shopping to cafes, from banking to transport, and so much more. And with all of this comes the social connections that you'll build up, some of whom you'd like to hang out with more. So at times you'll be left with go for the adventure or stay for the people. And this can definitely be the hardest part for some people. You'll definitely want to consider this before heading out into the world and just make sure that you've prepared. Then you've got food, and I can only think of pros for this. So new places means new cuisines, and as far as I'm concerned, that is never a bad thing. So two perhaps smaller things that you'll want to be aware of are that the bureaucracy of visas will likely make you want to pull your hair out. But if you stay on top of deadlines and are pretty organized, this shouldn't be a problem. You'll be fine. And lastly, if you're working, you'll need good internet access, which isn't always the case. If you're staying in a new country, it's probably best to do a bit of research on this topic before you go, because it's going to be a huge help when you get there. You won't have to worry about waiting for a few weeks for internet or getting a SIM. I just suggest doing research before you go, and I'll dedicate a separate video to this entirely. Something that fascinated me about this cultural shift to a more distributed lifestyle is that people often pondered what might happen to tech companies in an instance like this, from Silicon Valley to Shanghai, Shenzhen, Singapore, London. Those of you who don't know, Silicon Valley has been the leading tech hub of the world for the previous 50 years, beginning with companies like Intel and AMD, pioneering the technological revolution, and more recently leading with the likes of Apple, Google, Meta and Visa, to name a handful. But some of the other cities that I mentioned have rapidly been catching up because they've become cheaper or even better alternatives for startups. So with this shift, there was always a cloud of questions looming over these places as to how they would react to a less centralized workforce. Would it lead to misalignment, demotivation, disruption? As it turns out, none of the above. A study created by Nicholas Bloom, a professor of economics at Stanford University, that involved a Chinese company and 16,000 employees, concluded that remote work led to increased productivity due to longer working hours and a quieter and more convenient working environment. Remote employees were also more satisfied and less likely to leave the company. However, they were also less likely to be promoted. This study concluded with the statistic that working from home led to a 13% increase in performance. So my guess is that these tech centers will likely do just fine, if not better. So let's get into the question of whether or not it will be right for you, with the opportunities that it will enable for a more nomadic lifestyle. This question is really dependent on your current as well as your desired circumstances. So if you're someone who deeply values stability over a removed sense of security, then perhaps a nomadic lifestyle isn't for you. But if you're someone that likes to embrace the unknown and gets comfort or even satisfaction from trying out new things, then I can safely say that this is a great way to do so. Next up, you can't spell digital nomad without timing. So the next thing you want to consider is time management. And I know these pictures that you see depict quite a laid-back lifestyle. If you're also working a full-time job and want to use your trips wisely to explore the surrounding areas, then I'd recommend working off a tight schedule that enables it. You'll want to ensure that your day has been set up to enable you to complete your allotted work hours, whilst giving you the freedom to venture out and see the sights and the sounds and the tastes. You should be able to do this these days with any popular calendar app, to be honest. You'll need areas to get your reminders, as well as a place to document and tag areas that you'd like to visit. Personally, I use Notion for this. I actually use Notion for a lot of things, but add places you'd like to go, you can tag them, add dates, even times that you'd like to visit them at. It's a great tool. But perhaps what will help you most before taking the plunge, and also whilst you're there, is again, the research. What is the culture like? What are the conveniences you'd like to maintain, and how can you do so? What are some things that you'd like to see? I wouldn't really spend too much time focusing on other people's experiences, because yours will undoubtedly be different. And I think I should probably touch on the environments that enable you to enjoy the culture and also complete the work. Nomads in cafes go together like designers and lo-fi music, which you'll be able to enjoy wherever you go, as I imagine most big cities these days recognize the fact that nomads, digital nomads, will be moving, traveling, and they like an environment where they can relax and complete their work. As with the subtle murmurs of people enjoying their afternoons, it's an environment that's familiar to us. Here in Cyprus, for example, I'm not even in the capital, and there's a huge coffee culture. Even with how small this island is, it enables me to still break up the day and move between my accommodation and cafes when I'm working as I please. It's a great space for nomads. Which brings me to how this all started and how I nearly gave up on my dream to work and travel the world. It began when I'd set my sights on a destination to travel to. So I was excited by the thought that I could escape the monotonous grey skies of the UK. In the meantime, I was working month to month to pay bills as I had a full-time job, but also I was running a startup with a friend of mine. We didn't have any funding, so for the past few years, every paycheck became a necessity as I needed to continue funding and bootstrapping our company. Fear started to kick in. What if the funds dried up? What would the culture be like? Will I have internet? How do I ask for a bag? As it turns out, weather was a pretty great motivator for me. So one day I was sitting on the sofa and I was looking out the window. The world had just essentially opened back up again for a lot of people, at least for people to be able to travel again within Europe. And almost like it had been scripted, it started to rain. I made the decision then and there to give it a shot, and I haven't regretted a minute since. Traveling whilst working has helped me grow as a person, being able to eat lots of great food. I've been able to learn from new cultures, new people, and just appreciate the sheer magnitude of amazing things that every new place has to offer. Right, I'm glad you've been enjoying the content that I've been putting out so far. It's really cool to see the comments and the reactions. If you enjoyed this video, you can give it a like or subscribe to the channel. For more of this content, you can follow me on Twitter at Ephesopoulos, which I've also linked down in the description. And I just wanted to say a big thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.